was wondering, what do I do with the rest of my time? I think Steve Jobs referred to me when he says, be hungry, be foolish. The questions being asked then were, you mean people are going to pay for degrees? They may buy them instead of studying. You mean
Makerere University Business School is the leading provider of business and management education that facilitates professional development, promotes entrepreneurship and leadership in the region. In this exclusive episode, Professor explains the origins of this great institution that has taken the Eastern and Central African education spheres by storm. Now let's listen to Professor Balunywa as he shares.
I joined Makerere University in 1983 as a lecturer. I had a Bachelor of Commerce and an MBA from the University of Delhi in India. I had been encouraged to get into teaching by one of my professors in the University of Delhi when I was doing my MBA. He made it look so wonderful that teaching was a calling. And indeed for me, it was a calling. When I get into Makerere, I got in there very excited to teach. And here I am, getting to the office every day at about 8 o'clock, and you teach for about 2 or 3 hours a day, 3 days a week, and you go home. So I was wondering, what do I do with the rest of my time? I was lucky at that moment. I was also working for a family business, the Sapoba Bookshop Press then, which was jointly owned by Chunda Chivejinja, Bidandi Study, and Chintu Musoke. They had a biggest private sector printing press in the country. So I used to leave Makerere, go in the afternoon, do some work, put structures in place, and organize a business. I think Steve Jobs referred to me when he says, be hungry, be foolish. I wanted more. I wanted to learn more. I wanted to teach more. And I was willing to learn. I think that's the meaning of what Steve Jobs said in his famous remark, be hungry, be foolish. So I realized that there was nothing much to do in the university. But I remember my times in India. We stayed somewhere in one of the suburbs of Delhi. And in the building next door to us was some kind of a university or a school. And in the evenings, a lot of activity, people studying in the evening and leaving at 9 or so. So I went back to India and I looked at a number of things, and I realized that Indians studied the whole day from morning up to evening in different sessions. So I came back and talked to my colleagues to introduce what we call evening programs. I must tell you it was not easy. First of all from my colleagues, but they bought in, and we now had to go to Senate. Now I was fortunate in a way because of presence. My then head of department, Professor Tikoro, was always not present and sent me to meetings. So I started learning universal procedures. And when we got to wanting to move away from the Department of Commerce to the Faculty of Commerce, the Department of Commerce was in the Faculty of Social Sciences. I was the key orchestrator of this change. So what did I do? I went to the Vice Chancellor and said, sir, we want to start certain programs, but we cannot start them within the Faculty of Social Sciences. The Vice Chancellor was very good. He encouraged us, and we finally set up a committee to look at how do we separate. We proposed some programs besides what we had, the BCom, but it took us some time, from 1986 to 1990, before these private programs were allowed. The questions being asked then were, you mean people are going to pay for degrees? They may buy them instead of studying. You mean people will be able to access education because they are paying? I told them, at the moment, the government of Uganda is paying for somebody, but it doesn't have enough money. And what we're going to do, what we're planning to do, is that those who can afford can pay for it. I remember when I was going to India, I know at that time the Ministry of Education had a section for dealing with those who wanted to go abroad. It was not easy. You had to deposit money for an air ticket, return air ticket, with the Ministry of Education at that time, because they never knew whether you'd be able to come back. I looked at that and said, really, it's possible for us to start studying here. Now, we were a very small institution. We had, I think, at some stage, less than 200 students. There were about 60 students per year, I think, in each program, year 1, year 2, 3, in the BCom program. So finally, 1990, 1991, I think, Makerere University Senate accepted that we can have the programs. I must pay compliments to then Mr. Juko, who was the Dean of the Faculty of Law. He was very vocal and he helped us to get Senate to accept. He said, why don't you let these guys try out? If they fail, good. If they don't fail, good. So we were able to start, and in our projection, we break even with 86 students. When we advertised, we got about 200 applications, admitted 145, finally 120 something settled came in. It was a tremendous success. And as they say since then, it's been most successful education institution, I think, that has been around. And the rest of the story is the formation of MUBS. So as we did this, there was a lot of change in Makerere. First of all, in terms of pay, we started earning much more than anybody else. I was earning more than the Vice Chancellor. And besides this program, we were running short-term programs. And this paid us possibly 4 or 5 times what we were earning as salaries. And the Faculty of Commerce was a tremendous success. This success drew the attention of the then Minister of Education, Honorable Manya Mshagai. He comes to Makerere, comes to see us and wants to know what is taking place here. Why is everybody talking about the Faculty of Commerce in Makerere University? And he came and was able to share our story. Of course, we had a BCom, started a BBA, and a year later on, we started on the MBA. BBA, we had 126 students. MBA, we had, I think, 23 students. But these were tremendous successes. And change was coming to Makerere. Our parking was full of vehicles, which had never taken place in Makerere. So everybody noticed that there was something happening in the university. So the minister tells me, I want you to go and take over that National College of Business Studies in Dakar. And when you do that, I know you will increase access to education in the country. So we did, but it was not easy. Various rumors came around, I've been given money by Indians to buy the institution, all this stuff. There was resistance. But finally, we overcame it, and at that time, we had 1,000 degree students. Now, from 200 students to 220, when I became dean, in 5 years' time, we had over 1,000 students. This was tremendous change. It had never happened before in Makerere for a faculty to have over 1,000 students. But the numbers of teachers were small because there was no opportunity for us to go and study our PhDs. So 1997, the minister enacts a statutory instrument. I think it was called the establishment of the Makerere University Business School Constituent College of Makerere. This gave birth to Makerere University Business School. A few years later on, he made the amendment, giving autonomy financially and administratively. And since then, we've never looked back. We've introduced all kinds of changes, from one undergraduate degree program to now 21, from one MBA in 1998 to now about 12 programs. We had no PhD, we now have a huge PhD program. I believe that in Makerere University, we have the largest number of graduate students. So that is the story of how MUBS was actually formed.